What can you do when you feel like life is leaving you behind? Now, when I was in high school, beginning high school, I never really struggled with grades, but whenever it came to social situations, when I saw that all of my friends were getting invited to parties and I wasn't, my peers, that would get to me. That was my problem. I'm grateful for it in hindsight, but I never got invited to the parties, and I thought I was missing out on so much. I felt outcasted. I felt exiled from the tribe. I felt like while everyone else was leveling up, I was being left in the dust. Now, obviously, anyone who's been through high school knows that nothing good happens at those parties, so it's really a blessing that I wasn't involved in any of that. But ninth grade me didn't know that. I was under the impression that everyone else was leveling up socially, and to an extent they were. Maybe they were sacrificing their health in the long run. Maybe they were building a new addiction, but they were definitely leveling up socially, and you could tell that in the classroom. And I wasn't. And it seemed like I'm staying here, and they were constantly improving. And I felt like I was behind everyone else in my school. Maybe you can relate to that. Maybe you're not behind socially. Maybe you're behind with your grades. Maybe you're getting C's, D's, F's in most of your subjects because you can't seem to be able to enjoy the material. You can't seem to pay attention to the teacher. Your mind's off somewhere else. And you see your friends getting A's on the assignments. It looks like they're not even trying, and you're not. Now, we'll start with grades. The reason that bad grades happen is for one of two reasons. I'm convinced that the reason that most of the youth doesn't study, most people don't study, even if they're falling behind in school, the first reason is that you're scared of failure. If you study, that means that you're putting real effort into your schoolwork. And what if you put real effort into your schoolwork and then you still mess up? That's what the little devil on your shoulder tells you. It tells you, hey, what if you're not good enough? What if you put everything into it and it's not enough? You gotta smack that devil. School was designed to train workers. Look, John D. Rockefeller said this, the billionaire oil guy. He said that the school system is purposely there to create drones so that everybody who graduates will work. You need most of the people to work. You can't have everyone being CEOs. That's not how the world works. It would fall apart. So you need to train these people to be in these lower level positions. And if that's what school is for, it's going to be impossible for you to fail at that. You just have to put in the working formula. You have to deliberately practice whatever skill they're putting out for you. And when you actually do that, when you actually put in the time to, maybe you like to read, maybe you can read through the material. I doubt it. A lot of people are starting to become not able to read, but maybe you do. You can sit still and read through the textbook. If that's the case, in any case, I would recommend that you gaslight yourself into enjoying the material. The kids who always succeed in school are the ones who enjoy what they're learning. Maybe they just enjoy learning in general. Who's going to win? The kid who genuinely loves math or the kid who doesn't really like math and forces himself to do it? So if you can tap into that and tell yourself, maybe just before you read, Tell yourself, I'm enjoying this book. I enjoy science. I enjoy biology. I can't believe I get to learn this. No one really thinks I can't believe I get to learn this, except for people who really like to learn. But if you're able to tap into that, you'll be able to read the stuff and not put yourself to sleep. You'll be able to actively remember it because you actually care what you're learning about. Now, if you can't get over that, my best advice for you is to wake up early. Wake up an hour early. You can. If you're in high school, middle school, whoever's watching this video, even if you're working, you can wake up early. You get home at 9, wake up at 5. You don't have to go to school till like 7 or 8 likely. You can make it happen. I want you to wake up early, set a timer for 1 hour, go online, undistracted, and look up quiz material for whatever unit you're learning in school. Maybe you're on Algebra 2. Look up Algebra 2. There's probably a unit number on what you're learning. Look up that unit. See if it's the same online. See if someone's already made quiz practice for that specific unit. And then just go through that. That's a really good way to learn the material in a practical way that stimulates the active recall part of your brain. What active recall is say you read something and you think, what did I just read? Whenever you force your brain to think about what you just read, that sticks in your brain. So if you're taking quizzes, what did I just learn? That sticks that piece of knowledge in your mind. That's the whole purpose of tests in school. So that you actually learn the stuff. It's not a great system, in my opinion, and I don't think it can be, because we're creating workers. In the factories, there's C, B, A grade of whatever product you're making, just like the grades in school. That's why you see grade A eggs, grade A manufactured tables, whatever. That's who the target audience is. So if you think that you're going to fail at school, you're probably not. You just have to work a little bit. If that's a goal of yours, it makes sense to work a little bit. Now, the second reason that you may be failing in school, that you're feeling behind, is because you have an addiction. Now, I firmly believe that everybody in school has an addiction right now. And it's the damn phones. I think that everyone's mom was right who conspired that these phones are ruining our lives, albeit movies, video games, social media, scrolling on TikTok. All of this stuff is eating 10 hours of our time every day. If you don't already, go into your settings and enable the screen time option and see how much screen time you have. It's probably a lot. Now, I have a step for you to take. I want you to take a sheet of paper, make a little grid, and just write out 10 days, like an Excel spreadsheet. I want 10 days on the side, write 2 hours on the top, and make little check mark boxes. Don't actually check them yet. And every day in these 10 days, I want you to have a goal of 2 hours of screen time. It's going to be really difficult. But you can't be failing in school and be having longer than 2 hours of screen time and then be complaining that you don't have time. Because what about the time you're on your phone? That hour, if you're deliberately studying, that hour won't count, but everything else does. If you're able to get less than 2 hours of screen time, then it's probably not an addiction issue. Maybe you are just lazy. But I don't think that's the case. I think very few people are actually lazy, and this laziness comes from an addiction to the phones. I think if you're able to cut out your screen time. Cut out the bad habits, replace it with the good. This works if you're falling behind in anything. Cut out the phones, you freed up 10 hours in your day. Nobody has 10 hours because they're all addicted to their phones too. If you can take that step to get ahead and cut out the one vice that is causing the most destruction in your life, and then you combine that with practice on what you're specifically bad at. Say you're in a competition with your friend, you're both learning the guitar, and you took a week off. He didn't. You feel very behind. He learned 4 new chords and he can play 1 million more songs than you. You have 10 hours in your day now, every single day, that you can practice on the chord shapes that you suck at on the guitar. And suddenly you're far ahead of your friend. It took like 3 days. Your friend has put 10 hours in total. And he was just playing around. He wasn't even practicing scales or chords or anything in specific. He was just playing his favorite songs. He's trying to learn how to play Shape of You on guitar. Like, of course you're going to beat him. The good news is about this addiction stuff is everyone else is addicted too. So if you feel behind, use it as motivation to cut out these vices. Use it as motivation to slap Satan in the face telling you I'm scared to fail. I'm scared that people are going to judge me whenever I fail. No one judges you when you fail. No one productive. If any of your friends say, oh, look at you for failing, you're a piece of crap, that's probably not a good friend to have in the first place. There's billions of people on the planet. Don't spend your time with people who are going to ostracize you for failing. If you're behind in school and putting an effort in school and people are laughing at you for that, what's the point of valuing the opinion of those people? The reason this happens is because in early times, when we lived in tribes, if you didn't please people, if you didn't follow the set rules of the tribe, if you were weird, they would just kick you out of the tribe and you'd die. That doesn't happen anymore. Everyone has a secure house. We're not in a position where we're going to be kicked out of the tribe anymore. So we can take risks now. So take the risk to try to become great at something. Maybe give it a month. If you can commit to 2 hours of screen time every day for a month and then deliberately practice whatever you're feeling behind on, there's an extremely high chance you're not going to be behind on that anymore. You want good grades, take the time to email your teachers. Maybe you submitted a project and got a bad grade. Email your teachers on exactly why you got a bad grade. Maybe ask them if you can get extra credit. If you can't, that's tough. That is a rough situation to have bad grades, but it's recoverable. Maybe you've dug yourself a little bit of a hole. Maybe you've dug yourself a giant hole, but starting to patch that hole up, day 1 of actually practicing. Day 1's the hardest day. Day 2 is always easier. You see this in the gym. You see this in any new skill. Maybe you go to martial arts. Day 1 in a martial arts gym is always going to be the hardest day because there's so much information. There's so many tactics flying at you. Same thing with studying. Same thing with socializing. If you're studying, there's going to be a million different methods. Try the quiz method. Try the reading method if you like to read. And you'll make it. How did I fix my social anxiety? I bet you can tell from doing YouTube, I'm not as scared to talk to people as I used to be. And I don't feel like everyone has left me behind anymore. I have my tribe, I have my social circle, and I can talk to people outside of that at ease. What this looked like for me was walking up to the hot girl, whoever was scariest for me to talk to, and forcing myself to talk to them anyways. Maybe I said something stupid. Maybe I walked up and was like, hey, nice shoes. I looked like a simp. But that's okay, because I literally jumped 3 whole levels by talking to whoever was hardest for me to talk to. Deliberate practice. What else does deliberate social practice look like? Walking around outside in public and saying hello to every stranger that walks past. You'll probably never see those people again. What's scary about saying hello to them? You gain those social levels. Maybe they gained some confidence. Maybe you complimented them in a genuine way. Hey, I like your hat. Hey, nice coat. Hey, nice shoes. But it's a dude, so it's not simping. It's okay to push your boundaries, and the more that you push your boundaries, especially as a man, is the more you're going to grow. Whatever is more difficult for you is going to grow your mind. There's a specific segment in your mind, which is your risk-taking section, and that grows every single time that you push your comfort zone. Every time you take the cold shower that you hate, every time you go outside in the blistering heat and do a job for your dad, that's going to grow that little section in your brain, and you're going to be taking more high testosterone actions. You're going to be pushing your comfort zone more the more that you do it, and your comfort zone is going to expand. You're going to start to be comfortable doing the uncomfortable, and suddenly you can study for hours. Studying is uncomfortable. Maybe you're not able to do an hour at the start. This was going to be about what to do if you fall behind, if you feel behind, because you're likely not. A lot of people compare themselves to social media, and they'll feel like they're so far behind because they see millionaires in their 20s. But in reality, they're doing fine. No one posts the bad on the social media. I'm sure you've heard that a million times. So comparing yourself to that, it's like, why would you even do that? If you're not comparing yourself to social media, maybe you're genuinely behind. If you don't take action, then you're just going to die. There's people who feel behind and then they don't take action for 20 years, and then they're old and broke and have no one to support them. And then they really have a problem. You have to grab the bull by its horns while you still can. Once you get older, you start to decline in like your 20s. Your body starts to, I'd say your 30s. Your body starts to become weaker. So if you feel behind now and you're 12 years old, maybe it's not so big of a problem, but if you let that snowball into a bigger problem, maybe you actually develop a learning deficiency because you don't develop the learning part of your brain because you just don't care about school. If you don't take action to kill the demon while it's still a small child, that demon's going to be sitting behind you of whatever problem you're having. And eventually it's going to be really tall. Eventually it's going to be the largest burden in your life. Like, imagine if you were incapable of learning. So you have to shove it away before it gets the chance to grow up. Same thing with addictions. If you find yourself starting to become addictive to something, it's important to be able to take those breaks to push it away so that if you do have an addictive personality, it doesn't snowball into the biggest problem of your life. For me, video games felt okay when I was 6, when I was just playing them for an hour a day for fun. And then turned 12 to 16, in the 12 to 16 gap, I was playing video games for 8 hours every single day. If I spent that time in literally any other skill, I would have been in the top 1%. Anything. Music, sports, whatever I wanted. But I'm not even in the top percent of video games because it's an addiction. And everyone else who's addicted to it is able to spend 8 hours doing it. It's a false purpose and it's destructive. I'm obviously against video games, but I've still been playing recently. I can't be hypocritical about it, but I will admit that I was indulging in bad habits. And if you play video games, you should at the very least do that, because it's definitely not a good habit. If you have to play video games, maybe you find yourself coping and you make some excuse and you have to, just know, yeah, I'm engaging in a bad habit right now. I'll raise my hand up. It's like if you go to a party and you drink You're underage and you're not supposed to drink. Don't do that. Absolutely don't do that. That could ruin your life. But the people who are underage drinking, they're raising their hands saying that's a bad habit. Video gamers, they don't do that. So if you're feeling behind in life, this advice can be applied to anything. Day one, don't fear failure. Don't feel judgment on your first day. It's okay to try new things. So you should deliberately practice whatever you're bad at, unapologetically, because whoever's judging you for trying new things, they're not people you want to be around anyways. You can shift your tribe so quickly in this world that doesn't matter. Number 2, quit your addictions so that you can make more time for what actually matters, whatever you're trying to grow in, whatever feels purposeful to you, or whatever you're required to grow in, like school. Maybe that doesn't feel purposeful for you. You should still get good grades so that maybe it's to please your parents. Maybe it's security so that your parents feel like they did a good job. So they might treat you better if you have good grades. That's the first thing, to be treated better. That's a good thing. You'll have a can-do mindset in your mind because it's like, if I got good grades, I could do anything. That's another reason to get good grades. So you should definitely prioritize school. You definitely shouldn't let your grades sink down, even if you don't think that school is too important, because there's so many other benefits to getting good grades. The next thing, let your failures motivate you. Being behind, you know that everyone else is addicted to their phones, and you know that you're still behind, and whatever this task is, you can get ahead. And you should let that reassure you, because inaction can equal death. For a lot of people, it does equal death. So we ended on a grim note, but thanks for watching. If you like the video, like it, comment for the algorithm if you think it deserves more views. See you next time.